Well, it's the last edition of Journalist Hangout for the year 2018. If it had not been for the Lord on our side, what will our Israel say? Welcome to Journalist Hangout. This week, I'm Ayodele Ozubakon. We have 46 more days to the conduct of the 2019 elections in Nigeria. As each passing day brings us closer to the all-important polls, always keep a date with us for in-depth information and analysis. Today on the show, PDP kicks as police continue siege to Dino Melaye's house. President Buhari vows to immortalize late President Shagari as family commends him over condolence visits. INEC set to meet ASU over 2019 elections. Considers recalling ex-corps members for election duty. And later on the show, Boko Haram seizes 6 Borno towns as military chiefs visit theater command. I'll be hanging out with Mayor Akipelu and Asukwo James. Maybe in the course of the show, Emeka Madunagu can join us. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining the last edition of Journalist Hangout for the year 2018. We promise that in 2019, as we count down to that election, that we are going to give you nothing but the best. The senator representing Kogi West, Dino Melaye, is a politician that is never far from grabbing the headlines, albeit for the negative reasons. His long-running battle with the Nigerian police resurfaced last week when security operatives laid siege in his Abuja home, apparently to arrest him. That siege is far from over, as police said it will continue until the senator surrenders himself. But his party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is alleging foul play over the saga. The party spokesman, Kola Ologbodiyan, in a statement described it as a witch hunt, with the police insisting that the embattled lawmaker is wanted for alleged attempted culpable homicide. Mia, let me start with you. This ding-dong between Dino Melaye and the police has been on for the better part of 2018.
I'm embarrassed for Senator Dino Melaye. Embarrassed because he's the senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but he behaved like a schoolboy. And why I say so is, it's not as if I'm supporting Nigerian police. Nigerian police have not done well in their altercation with him. But as a senator who is a lawmaker, he should be at the right side of the law. If the police accuse you of anything, what you need to do as a senator is to get your lawyer, probably get your media representative, call 1 or 2 or 3 newspaper houses, and formally visit the police to say, look, I work with the law, and I believe in the law. Whatever accusations that you have, or whatever you want me to explain to you, I'm here to do that. That's what you should do. Trying to, today you will say that, oh, for a senator of the Federal Republic to sit on the road and say, I'm going to kill myself and embarrass all of you, or to tell us that, oh, I slept overnight on top of one tree, or allow police to surround your house.
Somebody wants to inject me.
It's ridiculous. That is why we have to give so much respect for the Senate President, Bukola Saraki. He was accused as the number 3 citizen of Nigeria. He was asked to come to court. He was embarrassed severally. He was made to sit in the dock severally. But he kept going there. He would go with a lot of senators anytime he had that thing. And eventually, he won.
True.
Yes, eventually he won. That is how to do it. If you are a lawmaker, you are a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you cannot do Jaguda style to face the police. That's ridiculous. If the police accuse you, to say you are accused, you and your so-called thugs attacked a policeman, we cannot allow, no matter how high placed anybody is, to attack a policeman. It's not done anywhere, because by the time you start doing that, we will descend into anarchy. The police, yes, they are not right, yes. Sometimes they do a lot of things. Sometimes their stories may not be true. But if you are accused of attacking a policeman, it is your duty to try to make sure, to prove to them that allegation is false. Not to sit in your house and start tweeting and trying to tell people they are surrounding my house. What you need to do is to get your lawyer and go and submit yourself to it. Yes, you can be maybe inconvenienced for one way or the other, but you will still, at the end of the day, you will triumph because you must be on the right side of the law.
Asuka, do you see any witch hunting? The PDP claimed that, look, Senator Melaye is being witch hunted. And, you know, for some reason, he crossed from the All Progressive Congress, crossed over to the People's Democratic Party. He has not been munchy with the ruling party. Any opportunity to make his video and to mock the Buhari administration, he gets that opportunity. And PDP, they're reading political undertone to this. That's okay. That they think there's more to it than this allegation.
Well, it depends on how they see it, because the incident that they are trying to, arrest him for happened days before the defection. It happened maybe July 19, and then he defected maybe July 24th or thereabout. So it's days before, So if you are looking at it from that perspective, people will say it's witch hunting, but the law is the law. If you have committed an offense, whether it takes the police 1 million years, the law will still catch up with you. They would always, definitely, they will always say, because if you were to be in APC, maybe the case would have been swept under the carpet. But we are talking about human life, and not just human life. We are talking about the law enforcement officer who is, as we speak, is still in intensive care, And so if, just like we are saying now, Dino is a lawmaker, he shouldn't be a lawbreaker. He must always understand that. Everybody must understand that the law will always catch up with anybody, no matter how highly placed you are. Okay. So if the PDP thinks that, okay, that Dino, the PDP should be saying, did Dino actually commit the offense? And if they are saying that he did not, Dino is supposed to come out and then face the law. They are the ones that are making the laws. And sometimes I always wonder how our lawmakers are always pretending as if Nigerians don't know anything. You are making laws for us. But when this same law wants to apply to you, you now begin to bring issues about somebody being witch hunted, or that, okay, you are being politically harassed or something.
Okay, Asuka, let me quickly take this a breather. When we come back, we'll discuss more. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this time out. Please stay with us. It's the final edition of Journalist Hangout for 2018. And joining us is Emeka Madunagu. Emeka, I don't want to talk about Lagos traffic, but is Senator Dino Melaye being persecuted by the Nigerian police?
Yeah, well, I'll look at it this way. Yeah, like my respected senior colleague has said, that the law is the law, just like Asuka said. But I think, yes, I agree. If somebody is accused of a misdemeanor, is an allegation, the person should cooperate with the security agencies. That's, of course, the law. But the other side is that I think the police are over-dramatizing their engagements with Dino Melaye. They've taken him to 5 different courts. All the drama and all that. I think they need to minimize these things. 5 different courts? Yes, they need to minimize some of these things. Because, yes, I know they say the incident took place, I think was it on the 15th of July or so. He has been invited since 27th of July, which, of course, I think he shouldn't also have allowed it to linger for I think 7 months now, to linger. But be that as it may, I think, yes, the police said they wrote the clerk of National Assembly. The Senate president denied it. He said there was no such letter, but the police countered and said they have evidence that, such a letter was written, that it was received, stamped, and all of that. So, but now having to send about 100 policemen to Dino's house, I think that's over-dramatization. They cut the light, power supply, and all that. There are ways of engaging.
Is Dino inside the house?
Nobody knows. But Dino has said that by Monday, he will be back in Abuja and he will make himself available. Maybe the police think he's inside the house. But let's cast our minds back to the engagement between NDLA and Buruji Kashamu. You saw the embarrassment he brought to NDLA. You know, at a point, because of the way the man hid in the bathroom and NDLA, you know, people now began to ask that, what is really in this matter? Is it just about the fact that the man is alleged to have committed some crimes, or that there's a move to extradite him, or there's some political angles to this same matter, you know? So now, that's why I say the police need to downplay the drama around all of this. You know, definitely it's unfortunate that a police officer, you know, was shot. But Dino, understand that the journalist was on the convoy and has also given an account of what happened. But you see, the police, yes, in trying to arrest people, should also be mindful of the fallouts, the likely effects on their image. You know, the Nigerian police is really suffering under a serious image problem. But the police can make things better. They can make things better, because if you look at even the coincidence with the attack on Baga, you know, it now looked like, okay, maybe government was trying to divert attention from the attack on Baga, and so the police had to go in. Then the next thing you heard about Operation Python Dance starting in January. The police, they need to downplay this drama. It's not helping their image.
Mayor, we have to
Yes, I agree with that. I agree that maybe the police could have done better in handling this matter. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, I think the person that should do the needful is Senator Dino Melaye.
Of course.
Because, like I said, it is not out of place for the police to invite you for questioning. They have the right to do that. The police can invite you. In the course of investigation, they can say, oh, we need to talk to you. It is your duty as a lawmaker to make yourself available. For you to be invited since July and you not reporting, people, because if everybody do that, there will be breakdown of law and all that. We decided to come. We can't have a lawless society.
All right.
We should do the needful.
Okay, let's just move on. Nigeria lost its first executive president, Alhaji Shehu Shagari, last week. And outpouring of encomium and condolences is yet to abate. On Sunday, President Muhammadu Buhari paid a condolence visit to the Shagari family in Sokoto, where he pledged that the federal government will in due course institute a befitting memorial to immortalize the late statesman. Now, the family of the deceased, through the eldest son, Alhaji Bala Shagari, was full of appreciation to President Buhari for the visit, as well as his pledge to immortalize the late president. Meanwhile, let us have this package before we go into the discussion proper.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
President Shehu Shagari giving his inaugural speech after he was sworn in for his second term. His tenure would be short-lived. Less than 3 months after, he was overthrown in a coup planned by young army officers. Several reports indicate the plot was leaked to President Shagari and a firefight ensued on the day of the coup. The plotters chose the then Major General Muhammad Buhari as the new head of state.
The conduct of the 1983 elections dashed that hope, since, as I said before on another occasion, that election could be anything but free and fair.
General Buhari has denied his involvement in the coup, but testimonies from former soldiers like the late Major Daniel Bamidele and the detained Sambo Dazuki indicate General Buhari was informed. General Buhari was himself overthrown in another coup 2 years later by his Chief of Army Staff, Ibrahim Babangida. President Buhari is now considered a converted Democrat, running for office of the president unsuccessfully in 2003, 2007 and 2011 before winning the 2015 presidential vote. He is standing for re-election in 2019.
Asugo, there's a kind of issue between President Buhari and late Shehu Shagari.
Yeah, if you look at it, except you want, let's put it this way. Yesterday makes it 35 years.
Yes.
You know, since Buhari actually overthrew Shehu Shagari. And then there were issues before that overthrow. the issues about economy, the issues about ineptitude and all the likes.
The election of the
And
election.
then the election too, you know. So
Verdict
if you look at
83.
it, that's the same thing that we are still experiencing today. And people are still saying, you can see it's almost the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, the presidential, Shagari being the first executive president, because then we are in the parliamentary and we are moving into the presidential. So many things would have happened then, you know, because we are trying to see how we can, you know, begin to look at the American system of government, which is the presidential system of government, moving from the British to the American. And to me, I think Shagari was having a little bit of problem in trying to grasp, and Nigerians as well. So if you look at what Buhari is facing today and what Shagari was facing then, is almost the same thing. We didn't give Shagari enough time for him to rule us. We were so impatient. That is how I see it. Then I was young. Let me tell you. Then I was young. We were very, very impatient. We would have given Shagari enough time for us.
I don't
to.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I don't agree with that.
My own question, my question here is that I see a man that was a reluctant ruler.
Yeah.
It wasn't as in the kind of Shagari. It's not your normal ambitious president that wants to dominate everywhere and everything. Looking at his background, his pedigree, so it was as if he was conscripted as a data.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Shagari was a good man, but a modest man who just wanted to be a senator.
Yes.
But the Nigerian political class, the hungry Nigerian political class, preferred somebody that they could manipulate. He was conscripted and he was made president. And part of the problem that we'll always be having is that we have leaders who are unprepared. He didn't prepare to be president. He wanted to be a senator and he was made president. So because he was made president, those who made him president were the ones that were really ruling. And he was very weak. He was a very weak leader. And because he was a very weak leader, people were doing a lot of things in his name, so to speak. But even at that, when you look at what happened, you realize that the older generation, the Shagari generation, were perhaps the best set of politicians we've ever had. Because what we were accusing them of, were just peanuts to what people are doing now. Shagari not only that he lived a modest life, after Shagari, IBB had an hilltop mansion, Obasanjo had an hilltop mansion, Abdulsalami has an hilltop mansion. This is a man that just has a modest house. In fact, it took a long time before they could get him a house. He didn't have a house in Sokoto. It was when they discovered that he didn't have a house in Sokoto that they had to mobilize money to build a house for him. Those are the kind of leaders we used to have. But now you have leaders who take our patrimony and they show it to us that there's nothing we can do about it. And I just hope that history will be kind to him, because he was a good man who was not prepared for the office. And I also agree with my brother that perhaps we were not patient with not only Saraki, with Shagari, with the politicians of that era. Because if you look at them, things that we were criticizing them for, all the governments that came after them did worse things. They were not even showing things, because these people were just, like he said, because we were just changed to the presidential system of government, a lot of people didn't really know how this thing should work. And then we had people who were just doing showmanship. People said a lot of things about Umari Diko. But when Umari Diko, we realized that Umari Diko, you can't compare Umari Diko with the kind of money that people were stealing now. I remember that then all of us were hungry when they were doing when the military were doing their propaganda there. They showed us one champagne that they call Akilo champagne. And because we were ignorant, that we didn't know that if you just enter into any store in London, you can ask them to put your name on a bottle of champagne, and it's no big deal. But we didn't know. We just felt that for somebody to have his name on the champagne, he must have been so rich. But I didn't know that this man died a very modest man. He died a poor man. Actually, he died a poor man. So we were, yes, I agree with that.
Okay, let me quickly pick. Mohammed is calling us from Kaduna. Thank you for joining us, Mohammed. Emmanuel. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, I want to give my own electric contribution.
All right.
Concerning, let me go back to Dino Melaye case. Dino Melaye, if you could remember vividly, last week, Dino Melaye raised the alarm about the threat of the government to arrest him and inject him. You understand? So this time around, government.
Hello?
Network.
Okay.
Okay, well, Shagari was a weak president. Okay. But the interesting thing about that period was that there was serious competition between the federal and state governments. You know, you had Shagari low-cost housing estates. You had Jakonde low-cost housing estates. In the UPN states, UPN's strongest focus was education. So they tried to give free education. You know, you saw in the MPP states too, there were things were done. In fact, that was when state universities came into being. State broadcast stations came into being. Because, you know, I think there was a time and the federal government withheld block funds to the states. So they were in court, and then there were issues around it. But you could see that the state government were doing their best to shine. The federal government was also doing its best to shine. And that was a glorious era, you know, for Nigeria, coming after the unfortunate, you know, incidents of the coup, the civil war, and all of that, you know, and then the military rule that followed. So, but the elections of 1983 actually didn't help Shagari, because the mayhem that followed, you know, you had people like Sunday Adewusi was the IG, he was known as Kill and Go. You know, the mobile police was known as Kill and Go. You had Omar, you had Ibrahim Tai, even Adogbe, who was the current Minister of Agriculture. I think then he was Minister of Telecom or something. They were very powerful. Adisa Akinloye was powerful. Then you had party supremacy. You know, the party could control its members, not like now where, you know, even a local government chairman can call the bluff of a state party chairman and nothing will happen. Then you had party supremacy. Shagari, yes, he was a reluctant president, but I think if he had tried to assert himself more, maybe he couldn't play with the kind of politicians they had then, because these men, they had influence. You saw what they did to MKO now. You saw what they did to MKO Abiola with all his money and everything, you know, and they were able to just sweep him aside. So then, these were powerful men. But, well, like has been said, history will be kind to him. But the only thing is this, I think for leaders need to find a way to control influences around them. Because when you have such strong men, that's why people say you build strong institutions. We don't need, no country desires of developing fast needs strong men. You need strong institutions. So if Shagari at that time had tried to maybe build strong institutions, perhaps he would have been able to rein in those big men around him.
Asuko, the president has promised to immortalize Shagari, and I think a committee was set up and led by Boss Mustafa. So let's see what's the significance of this.
No, I think it's going to be a very good thing, you know, because historians and even the children after our children, if we have like a national stadium, you know, named after him.
Funny enough, nothing named after him.
You know, nothing.
Apart from the Shagari low cost.
The low cost, and even streets, you know. So, this thing, I
think stadiums
what Buhari should be
it.
looking at something that will be, you know, that people will always look up to and say, okay, this stadium is Shagari. So that when our children come, why are they naming this stadium or wherever?
Who is this person?
You know, who is this person? Oh, it's the first democratically elected president of Nigeria who deserved it. Whether he was weak or whatever, but at least let's give him that honor, because we have honored so many people in Nigeria. Some of them, they don't even deserve it. But this man deserves this award, this immortalization anywhere, maybe in Abuja.
Maybe the federal secretariat. Because of course, I think he was a minister.
Yes.
And
so
there
should be something.
Maybe the federal secretariat at Abuja will be befitting.
But I'm even looking at something that our children will always look at.
Even a stadium.
A stadium, like a stadium.
No, but was he?
That is the only thing that
he wasn't.
Nigeria. I'm looking at the stadium.
Okay, maybe it's still, but I think the federal secretariat at Abuja might be more befitting. Because if you look at certain things that happened also around him, the things he was involved in.
Both Mustafa will be listening to our suggestions.
Yes.
To be listening to
federal secretariat will be more will be more appropriate.
Because if you remember, we have Murtala Mohammed International Airport, you have Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport. Those are things.
But you have Obafemi Awolowo University.
Yes. As in, what I'm saying is that those are things that you cannot but mention. Those monuments, you see them every time, and
it should be something that
I just hope that
is big.
I just hope that this government will be able to follow through their promise to immortalize him, because we are used to the same thing happened to Zik. Remember that it is this government that had to go back and finish the mausoleum. So sometimes government will say something and something will happen, they will move to another problem. So I just hope, because he deserves it. It should be an inspiration to us that yes, he made mistakes. The election, like you said, was not good in '83. The election actually cost him because.
But wasn't his making?
People were really messed up. But you see, what happened in 1983 happened several times after that. People sitting government trying to rig election and writing results.
During Morris
that was the same thing. That was the same thing that happened. It's just the impunity of a ruling party saying that look, we are in power. And we are going to win, whether you like it or not, which was what happened in '83 and led to the coup. Okay,
we'll take this breather. Well, Emeka, if you see this particular issue, that the president, his history with Shagari, a lot of people have been talking about that. That, oh, Mr. President, it was President Buhari that actually truncated that democratic dispensation.
Well, it all depends on who is writing the story and who is looking at it. In one way, Buhari wasn't among the key military officers who plotted the coup. It said that he was brought in to give legitimacy to the coup. I think it was the GOC of the 3rd Division in Jos, so that a plane was sent to pick him from, I think, Jos to Lagos. That's one side of it. Well, you can say it was coincidental. It was just an accidental, it was a mastermind. But on the other hand, I think the military administration, let me not just pin it on Buhari. I think certain people in that Buhari administration were too eager to demonize Shagari. They detained him for so long. For so long, the man almost went blind. They were very, very unfair to him. And I think the first thing should be an apology to him. What they did to himself and Alex Ekweme, these were young men at that time who wanted to give their best. So I think an apology should also come with whatever immortalization they
want to do. All right, when we return, INEC set to meet with ASU over 2019 elections, consider recalling ex-corps members for election duty. We'll be right back after this time out. It's still Journalist Hangout. Stay with us. One of your best television program, that's television reaching you from the best television station, that's Television Continental, make bold according to undisputed television station of the year. And moving on now, the extent of ripples effect caused when an object dropped in the water. Most time, maybe unpredictably, not many will think that the effects of the ongoing strike by public university lecturers in Nigeria will extend beyond the campus. It seems the failure of the federal government to find a lasting solution to the lingering strike may affect the conduct of the 2019 elections. Sensing a looming danger ahead of the polls, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has scheduled a meeting with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, for January the 4th. According to INEC, the lingering ASU strike would seriously impact on the preparations for the polls. Hence, the need for such pally. INEC National Commissioner in charge of voter education and publicity, Festus Okoye, is optimistic that the scheduled meeting would yield desired outcome. Are we on the edge regarding this? Gentlemen, when I wanted to look at the correlation before, the next ones before, but now I see. Because we are going to have more than 120,000 polling units across the Federation for presidential election. And INEC definitely might not have the staff strength to man.
No, they can't.
They don't have. Normally they use adult staff.
They use teachers, corpers, and everything. Now, even as returning officers.
Yes, because the vice chancellor,
vice chancellors that they use.
The vice chancellors,
but even all the states, it is a kind of this thing adopted by Professor Atahiru Jega to give credibility. So that it's not the resident electoral commissioner that we announce that will be the returning officer. So now, will INEC backpedal or suspend that because of the national interest?
INEC is on the right path.
No, will ASU suspend that because of this?
I think they should. I think they should, because what they are agitating for is different from what we are discussing now. The emoluments as lecturers in university is different from national service, which conducting the election is.
Depending on how patriotic they are.
I believe they are patriotic. They have issues concerning promises made to them by government that were not fulfilled. And they have every right to hold government to account. You know, we discussed it not too long ago. They have every right to hold government to account to what was promised and was not delivered to them. But this one is different. Because the system that we put in place depends on members of the university community to be able to play critical roles in conducting elections. And now that they're on strike, I think INEC should engage them and be able to hire them like they used to do on an ad hoc basis. So that shouldn't affect the agitation with the federal government. The federal government is not INEC. So we must get that. So the dispute that they have is not with INEC.
So to make the lecturers available.
Yes, it's the federal. So the ASU, I think ASU should allow those who are involved in conducting elections, either as returning officers or in any other ad hoc basis, should be able to reach an agreement.
After all, they won't do it for free.
No, of course they will be paid. Yes. So I think it will work. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't.
How important is ASU?
Yeah, it's important, but I want to go beyond ASU. Honestly, I'm not happy with the fact that it's like journalists have been left out. Because it's not just lecturers that can validate elections. What about journalists? What about the media? Yes. Sorry?
I'm going to leave our work of reporting.
No, we have senior journalists. We have respected senior journalists in this country that can also, senior journalists, even if it's retired journalists, we have retired, respected journalists in this country that can also be part of the process in different fields. It should not just be restricted to the academia. There are various professions in this country.
That's an argument for another day.
Yes.
Can we go to the side matter?
No, of course. What I believe is that even side by side negotiating with ASU, INEC should also look at some other professional bodies. It should be a mix. We are all Nigerians. We cannot say, it's just one profession that holds, that its hands are so holy that it can be trusted with, it's the only one that can be trusted with election duties. Yes, ASU, like has been said earlier, should take this as a national sacrifice, to ensure the success of the elections. But again, the federal government should, if ASU accedes to INEC's request, the federal government should also, play a noble role in ensuring that this strike comes to an end as quickly as possible. Because it's not just for ASU to be part of the election. What about children who are at home?
Let me take Omar. Omar is calling us from Abuja. Thank you so much for joining us. Omar.
All right, thank you so much. Good evening, the panelists.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My contribution is this. Hello?
Yes, Omar, you're on.
Okay. My contribution is this, pertaining INEC ASU strike. I can't see any correlation between ASU strike and then the elections. You know, why? Because if ASU is on strike, you know, after all, they haven't been hired. They have been paid. So I don't think there's any correlation. The meeting between INEC and ASU is a welcome development. You know, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you. Asuko, calling, you know, old core member, former core members, because you can estimate that maybe 60% or 70% of them are not occupied yet. So I think this is a welcome development, at least to pick, you know, something.
No, Ayo, if I were to be in the opposition or if I'm a politician, I won't subscribe to that. Let me tell you why. Because it is now going to be very difficult for you to authenticate who are the ex-core members.
No, I think from their database.
No, wait, Ayo.
Okay.
Then
NYSC should be able to.
Because NYSC will give you. But every politician is always afraid of the so-called even core members.
Yeah.
In every election.
Yeah.
You know now.
Because
they will tell you that.
Is it? Yes.
Yes,
to corrupt them.
Because they will corrupt them. So for you to even say, even the core members, the ones that are with uniform, they are telling you that they are fake. You will now want to go and bring the ones that are already out. So politicians will always find a way not to allow that one. They won't allow that to happen. Rather, it's better they still stick with what they are used to, which is the core members.
Okay, what we are saying now is that INEC, I think they are experiencing.
Well, no, what they're saying is that they cannot have enough personnel now.
Core members.
And they want core members. And they want a situation where they'll be able to get those who have core members who have participated in it, so who have the experience of doing it.
How will you now authenticate? Because every politician...
Who should do the authentication?
See, everybody is going... If I am in that particular battle,
okay,
you have to also tell me who you are bringing into that. Yes, because this is election. Ayo, this is election. So INEC is also supposed to bring the political parties and tell them, I'm bringing Mr. A from so-so place to come, and also, it's going to be a very tedious thing.
Yeah,
it will be very tedious.
It's going to be a very controversial thing. But you see, it's between the devil and the hard place.
Yes.
Because you need people to organize to work as ad hoc members.
Yes.
And you don't have them. You have to recruit them. So whether they are teachers, you have to recruit people.
We have to recruit people.
I think you said something about it.
It's like 46 days.
See, we have lecturers. Wait, Ayo. In every university, we have lecturers. Professors are there. It's not only the VCs.
How many
we have all the way now, Ayo. We have lecturers.
I would prefer teachers in schools because you can trace them.
We have professors. Let them bring all of them out. We have even retired professors.
No. The job of an NYC person, the person that will sit down in the polling unit,
professors can do it. There's agile professors.
No. You can't have them as field officers.
Let me take Peter.
You can't have them as field officers.
Thank you for joining us, Peter. Hello.
Hello,
yes.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Peter.
Yeah, this is Larry Adoke calling from Ekiti State.
Okay.
My comment is on the issue of Dino Melaye. Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
You see, the issue of Nigeria is a dramatizing country. We use everything to dramatize. If Dino Melaye is a good representative of his people, he is supposed to make himself available to law enforcement agents. Look at what Araki did in Kwara. Are you hearing?
Yes, Peter.
Now, let's now go to the issue of the police. If the Nigeria police, they are so sincere with their work, they should be able to go to a competent court, get to arrest a warrant, break into the house and arrest him.
They have it now.
They have it now.
They have an arrest warrant now.
Now, they have now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll quickly take this commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk more. Still journalist, and that's still with us. Welcome back. And still 46 days to the election, INEC needs help.
Yes, I agree. But that's what I'm saying.
They need all the help they can get.
INEC needs help. They need to get people. I can understand where they are coming from. What they are saying is that, okay, look, if we need personnel, it is better for us to use those who are used to it. The training that we are going to give them will be limited. They are used to the field.
Like people that conducted Ekiti election,
that's what I'm saying.
Osun election, the core members that were used. Instead of
members that were used, you can
again,
see, yes, you can recall them because there is a database. Because there is a database for those people. They did election in Ondo, they did election in Ekiti, they did election in Anambra. So we can use people like that.
People have got jobs already.
Yeah, they will go for those.
Are they assuming that
no, you can bet me 60% are still at home.
Yeah.
Well, that's debatable.
And I agree that it's better. They can inform the parties, but I think the corporates are still a better option. Either corporates or teachers.
They want to make some money anyway, instead of just sitting
at home. Yes, and they will make money. All right, to our chagrin and indignation, the vexed Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria's northeast appears to be staging a comeback when they are supposed to have been decimated. It paused to hear that Boko Haram fighters are reported to have seized 6 towns in Borno State, despite denials by the Nigerian military. According to sources, the 6 towns are Kukawa local government area, and Kukawa local government area of the state fell into the callous hands of the insurgents after 3 days of fierce battles. Meanwhile, the military hierarchy, comprising of the Chief of Defense Staff, Abayami Olon Shakin, the Chief of Naval Staff, Ibas, that of the Army, that's Lieutenant General Tuko Burotei, and the Air Force Chief, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, visited Maiduguri to assess the ongoing war. The service chiefs will also use their operational visit to the theater of command or Operation Lafia Dole. Now, to strategize on how to inflict the final blow on the terrorists. Asuko, well, to strategize, to visit the theater of war, to do everything. Nigerians want this, an end to this. The people in the northeast, they deserve to live a better life. And I was told that even the IDP camps in Baga, they've all moved, most of them, they moved to Maiduguri right now. And that all is not too rosy there.
Ayo, we are having a very, very one humanitarian crisis at hand. Because I just spoke with my correspondent over there. Yes, and he says, people are not happy because the people are moving from Baga down to Maiduguri. And even when they got to some like Mongonu, they got to Mongonu where they have the military formation there. The military refused to take them to Maiduguri. And so they have to trek from that Mongonu down to Maiduguri.
It's dangerous.
And on getting to Maiduguri, because this is a situation they never planned. They just put them in one particular expanse of land, and you know the weather there is really cold at night. You know,
I did my service by Maiduguri.
You know, so you can just understand the crisis that is at hand right now. They are having a meeting. The security meeting was supposed to have started at 4, but before, as at that period, at 4:30 or thereabout, the meeting has not started. So they are waiting for everybody to come. So Ayo, we are having a big, big situation at hand. The terrorists, as we speak, they are in control of some parts of Baga. These 6 towns, they are in control of those 6 towns. They would have moved to Mongonu if not the airstrikes by the Air Force, because that was the target. And once they get to Mongonu, it means Maiduguri will fall.
Maiduguri is in a striking,
so they have to re-strategize, I don't know how they want to do it, but the Nigerian Air Force has to help. It's the Nigerian Air Force that will need to help right now.
But the weather is bad.
It's really bad. So it means that they have to look at the period they have to start, going ahead with the airstrikes. Because any mistake will end up in human casualties. And I'm very sure that is what they are trying to avoid. Because so many people are moving from that Baga right now to Maiduguri. And in moving, you can take them for terrorists. Because you don't know, you can't identify who is who.
Mix with them.
You understand? Although, from what the correspondent said, everybody knows who is everybody. That is the people that are moving now.
Yeah, but from the air.
But from the air, you can't.
Like what happened
so
in
the
Iran?
Nigerian Air Force must help in this war. We have to deal with these terrorists once and for all. We don't know how this is happening some days to the election, but that will be another issue entirely. Whether it's politically motivated, nobody knows. So. But right now, we'll need to keep these guys at bay, because once they get to Mongonu, that is the end of Maiduguri.
The connection with Islamic States as a the dimension of...
We have to acknowledge one thing. We are under serious trouble. Serious trouble. When we discussed it one time, I explained something, that our military made a fundamental error. They don't seem to understand what they are up against. When they were able to clear Sambisa and they declared victory, I remember on one program when I said, look, you cannot declare victory when you are fighting terrorists or a terrorist organization. That America, as powerful as America is, they will not be able to defeat these people in Afghanistan, in some part of Pakistan, and in Syria. Even the way that they've degraded ISIS is still there in some northern part of Syria. But the problem why I said we are under serious trouble was because initially we had Boko Haram, who, yes, were fighting us, but we could contain them. Then we had the Al-Shabaab that were operating within the axis of Sudan. Then ISIS came and they were able to form the caliphate. Because the American and the coalition forces have been able to degrade ISIS resources and soldiers have been moved elsewhere, unfortunately for us. Because one aspect of Boko Haram pledged loyalty to ISIS when they were at the caliphate. So ISIS took over, so they became ISIS West Africa. And because they became ISIS West Africa, now they have resources that was available to ISIS, and they have, most importantly, foreign fighters who are itinerant fighters who, in the name of fighting for the caliphate, move to different theaters of war. And these people are ardent soldiers who have been fighting war from Kurdistan to some parts of those people fighting Russia, to Afghanistan, to Chechnya, to Afghanistan, to northern part of Syria. So they are ardent soldiers who have been doing that for so long. A lot of those foreign soldiers are fighting us now. That's the problem we have. In fact, the kind of problem that we have is more than any other part of Africa. And it's so sad because we're not even a North African country. But the ISIS fighters that we are fighting are more experienced than anything that we've seen before.
You know, the two things I'll say is this. President Buhari, for the first time, came out frankly and said Nigeria is fighting a civil war in the Northeast. So for the first time, the government has seen it that it's not just insurgency. Maybe like, you're fighting, it's like two fighting. But this is a war. So what it means is that the strategy has to change. Unfortunately, the Chief of Defense Staff, remember, his tenure was extended by 1 year. I think it will soon run out. The strategy has to change. We may need to get the Air Force to go further afield, beyond Nigeria, because Chadian Air Force, they've bombed Boko Haram positions within Nigeria. Why are we not going further afield? Now, the Multinational Joint Task Force headquarters has been sacked. And one route that was taken by these insurgents is the route, understand, where you have international trade, between Nigeria and other countries. So that area, gives them control. They can get money, they can get funds, and they're getting arms. So the strategy must change. And what it appears is that, look at, we have countries that can't really help us. Cameroon, Niger.
They're also facing their own.
They can't help us. Chad, maybe. But we have countries that can help us.
Can help us. Our government should face reality. We should go to the international community.
Exactly.
And tell them that, look, the ISIS that you are fighting, the terrorists that are fighting are with us. So you have to come to our aid.
But
in fact, especially America and France.
No, but
America and France, those two people.
But don't forget, Jonathan retook Baga using mercenaries. But this government is reluctant to use mercenaries.
To do that.
Now, you're talking about the international community.
They are the only
but don't forget the geopolitical, the geopolitics involved. Look at these countries, they are francophone countries, Niger, Chad, Cameroon. And yet, look at...
The residents are saying that what they even need now, the insurgents are after, are even the military guys.
I want to thank you, Asuko James. This is the last edition of Journalist Hangout for 2018.
Happy New Year in advance.
I will say happy New Year in
viewers for keeping faith.
For all our resource people, January to December, for standing by us. I can't start mentioning their names. My producers and everything, every day. It's not easy, but thank you. I harass Mayor every time, and Mayor will always oblige me. And thank you to all our resource people, the crew, and the backroom guys. Thank you so much. That's our offering for 2018 Journalist Hangout. You should be rest assured that 2019 is an election year, an election for the 6 days to the election. The program is going to be very, very active. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on our platform showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News. Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. See you in 2019. God bless Nigeria.